Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning into Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders and inspiring solutions. I'm Undraye Howard, one of your co-hosts, and I'm delighted to have with me my other co-hosts, Dr. Cheryl and Dr. Loretta. Hello, ladies.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Today is a very special show because we're going to be doing kind of a 2025 in review. And so, guess who the guests are? We are the guests for today's show. So, looking forward to that. Can't wait to hear the answers and the questions as well as part of that process. But we thought this would be a great time to just kind of do a reflection on what's taking place since we've had this show start earlier this year, review some of our wonderful guests that we've had over the months, talk about some of the key critical themes, and really we're turning the microscope on ourselves and asking ourselves some of the very uncomfortable questions that we have asked our guests over the past months as well. And so, really thinking about 2025's topics, truths, and being honest as part of that process. So I am so excited about this particular show because we get a chance to kind of review a little bit about what we've done for this year as well. And we invite you to, again, certainly download our podcast. We've done a number of them. What a wonderful gift to give out is to tune people into the Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors episodes. There's a host of them, all different kinds of topics and focus areas. So we invite you to kind of review that as well in terms of our past podcasts. So, why don't we get started here? Dr. Loretta, you joined us officially kind of as the third People's Doctor this year. Question for you, Dr. Loretta. What surprised you most about the conversations we've had, and which episode challenged your own thinking about leadership?
Well, first, let me just say I do appreciate that you all invited me to join you because I know this was well established before I came along. So I am very humbled, and this has truly been a learning experience for me. So, to answer your questions, one of the things I think that surprised me was a lot of the guests that we have, all their different experiences with their leadership journeys and the information that they shared. And they were so willing to share their personal stories. So I really did enjoy that. They did not mind sharing any information with us as well as our listeners. So it's more than one episode that stood out to me, but it challenged my thinking as far as self-care
Mm.
because in leadership roles, I think in the past, I've always been, well, it's got to get done. And if nobody else can do it, I know I got to get it done. No matter how stressed out I am, no matter how many hours I stay up and having to get something done, it's going to be done by the due date, if not before. Because I challenge myself, if you give me a due date, I want to get it to you 2 to 3 days in advance because that's just my personality and who I am.
Mm.
So when we had, it was Dr. Julius Mullen. I had to think of Dacia Moore, Neema Black, and Michael Cawthorne. Those are the people they stood out because they talked a lot about our own mental health
Mhm.
and that we have to take care of ourselves as well. And so for me, even though I knew it, but just having them to say that, it's like I really need to stop sometimes. And it's okay. You don't have to try to exceed all the expectations, even that you give yourself. So that's self-care. And I have really been trying to do more of that for myself. But I took that to heart. I really did because I know my personality, and that meant a lot to me to hear them say that. It
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah. Those are powerful shows. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Dr. White, any thoughts on that? Any additional thoughts on that?
No, I appreciate Dr. Loretta underscoring each
Mhm.
of those guests and the focus on self-care. I am blessed to have Neema Black here in our organization with Neighborhood House, and she leads our wellness program. She's done so for years. I think she's a senior director here. That really her main focus is focused on wellness, and it's just wonderful to have someone championing that throughout the organization. And obviously, she would not be able to champion it if our CEO did not
Right.
value and appreciate it. But we have a wellness center. We have Mike, our wellness Carthen that you mentioned, who comes and he and his team, they do aerobics and, exercise programs and yoga and so on and so forth. And it is, as you said, Dr. Loretta, so important for us to think about our own wellness and for us to think about the health and wellness and well-being of staff.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's so important to
Absolutely.
have leaders who are forward thinking. And so, again, shout out and hats off to Dr. Rudy Johnson, too, because,
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
not everyone can think outside the box like he can. And so he really
Right.
challenges the status quo. And so, really, hats off to his leadership style and what he really represents and embodies in terms of a leader.
Mhm.
So, really,
Yeah.
great
No,
leader in his own
no,
right.
definitely will echo that. And how about for yourself, Dr. Dre? Anything stand out for you?
Yeah, I think just the variety of guests, different topics, how well knowledgeable they were. I think key critical to all of that is they all had again kind of a different leadership style and what they brought to the table,
Hmm.
which was quite impressive. That no one leader is the same. And
Hmm.
so just the offering of perspectives that they had, I think really was very, not so surprising, but certainly enlightening and
Hmm.
certainly appreciated in terms of what folks brought to the table. So that to me was it. I mean, to sit here and choose one over the other, they were all great. I
Mm-mm.
mean,
Yes,
really, they were
Yes.
all
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. And so I
definitely.
just
They were.
appreciated that. So
Hmm.
absolutely. By the way, we had called October Keeping the Doors Open month. That was our focus. What
Hmm.
I would be interested in hearing from you, Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Loretta, which guest survival strategy made you think? That was a pretty deep month in terms of really thinking about all of the constraints that the nonprofit sector is going under and experiencing. That was a pretty deep topic discussion for each of those weeks we had in October. But
Hmm.
what guest survival strategy made you think? And I guess the other question is, well, if that's the survival strategy, why aren't other organizations doing that survival strategy? How would you
Hmm.
respond to that, Dr. Cheryl?
Well, I will, I'll say the person who comes to mind for me because she's just so full of energy and
Mhm.
life is Wendy McKinney.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Wendy's author of Busy Doing What?
Right.
And her book is fun and just everything she brings to life is fun. But her emphasis on innovation
Mm,
and doing things new and different,
yeah.
um, I think stood out as something that she brought up, but also a theme with our other guests with regards to just thinking we have to think differently, we have to do some things differently. And I think the other piece and thread that got pulled through so many of the shows was partnerships, why they're important, how to think about collaborating,
Hmm.
and so on and so forth. But if I were to actually go back and listen to a show and I just wanted to, I thought it was interesting, Andre, that you kept a straight face as you recommended, as you recommended our leadership matters with the people's doctors as a Christmas gift. I'm like, really?
And what's wrong with that, Dr. Cheryl?
Yeah, nothing, but I was wondering who you would give that to and how much they would really appreciate it. But if I were to go back and listen, I'd probably enjoy listening to Wendy again because she brings so much energy and ideas
Right.
to the table,
Yep.
as did so
Absolutely.
many others.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Loretta, how about you?
Before I answer that, I just want to say to Dr. Cheryl, I did get Wendy's book and I've started reading
Ah,
it.
Wow.
She has something in there called distraction addiction.
Mm,
And
mhm,
it is very powerful. And it really made me think it's so easy to get distracted from those things.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
shout out for her because I'm like, distraction addiction.
mm,
That is like, it's
Mhm.
very important. People need to get her book. So it
Yeah.
was
mm,
really good. I enjoyed that. But kind of in alignment with what Dr. Cheryl was saying, I was thinking of John Lydon
Mhm.
mm.
because
Yeah.
when he was on and he talked about some similar things with that collaboration part, like all of these nonprofits who are doing maybe multiple projects or programs. And it's, instead of just we trying to do seven different things, it's like you do one, then maybe another one will do, maybe we do one or two. But if people come to us and they need services, maybe we're not doing it, but we can send them to the other organization that might be doing it, and to collaborate more with, taking our strengths and things. One organization might do something a little better than another one is. So collaborating, and I don't think they do enough of that. And the reason I don't think they do is because everybody is like, this is my fiefdom, this is my
Right,
area.
right.
I'm not letting you in my area. So I think that's an issue too. We definitely need to learn to collaborate more.
Yeah, yeah. And Dr. Loretta, you kind of was reading my mind too. I was thinking about, Howard Garvell in terms of thinking about, leadership and really developing leaders, which was a very powerful segment in terms of
Mhm.
thinking about, how do we continue to be strategic is really creating the next level of leaders and preparing them. But also John Lydon, right? John talked about,
Mhm.
keeping those
Yeah.
doors open means
Mhm.
strategic partnerships, means
Mhm.
who else can we align with? And
Mhm.
those partners are different partners, right? We always kind of think the same way all the time, but stepping outside the box and who can we bring in the community that are willing to come together and really help us think through
Mhm.
how we can change communities for the better as we co-create and serve them in a much more profound way. So John Lydon was certainly at the top of that list. Talked a lot about why people are not doing that strategy much more. It could be a whole lot of things, right? It's
Yeah.
just the transactional leader that you might have. It might be the fear of mission dilution as part of that process. It might mean that we don't have enough leaders in the field to be innovative. Wow, leaders who need to be innovative and thinking outside the box. That to me is
Mhm.
one that I think we need more leaders who can think outside the box and become innovative as part of that process. And then, of course, failed attempts and what's worked for me 10, 20, 30 years ago, I'm still going to use it now. And that's just not the case. It's just outdated and stale. And so
Mhm.
just kind of thinking about that, I think is important
Mhm.
for me as well.
I agree. You mentioned Howard Gravell, and his book "Pick My Brain" comes to
Yes,
mind too.
yes,
Even as you speak with that and innovation, because innovation doesn't have to come from us as effective leaders, creating spaces to hear the voice of others.
right.
Because the innovative ideas may really come from the ranks. It may come from the people, and I think that "Pick My Brain," Howard's book, does a great job of just talking about some great leadership principles
Absolutely.
particularly for that executive, that could help one to be more inclusive and open to the talent and the ideas that come from the people around us. So,
Absolutely.
just another thought that comes to mind.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, Dr. Loretta, I know we want to kind of dive into some other pieces too. You've got a question for Dr. Cheryl. Let's see what she knows here, huh?
All right, all right. Well, she knows a great
Yeah,
deal
she
because I
does. She
learn a
does.
lot every time I'm in her presence.
Absolutely.
Dr. Cheryl, with your Center for Creative Leadership background, when
Mm-hmm.
a CEO finally admits they need a succession plan, what's usually the trigger? Is it crisis? Is it enlightenment? Or is it something totally different?
Wow, great question. Let me check in with Dr. Andre on time. Did you want to do the break and have me answer that before or after?
Do you don't think you
Oh,
have enough time? You got a whole speech prepared for that one, Dr. White?
No, I really don't.
Okay.
I don't. But
Okay. Yeah,
so
we can certainly take a break. Yeah, we could definitely do that then. So why don't we take a break? So let's take a short break. And when we return, Dr. Cheryl is going to dive into that question just a bit more. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions as we do a review of 2025. And we're back with more on Leadership Matters with the People Doctor.
Oh, have we lost Dr. Dre? Okay. Yeah, he has frozen. Okay, well, until he's back, Dr. Cheryl, let's go with that question.
Okay, so your question was?
Yes, with your Center for Leadership for Creative Leadership background, when a CEO finally admits that they need a succession plan, what's usually the trigger? Is it crisis?
Mm.
Is it enlightenment? Or is it something else? I think Dr. Dre's back though.
Oh, good. Good to see you
Yeah.
back, Dr. Dre.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad to be back. Which one of you was it, Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Loretta, that was trying to cut me off from? Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry, Dr. Cheryl. Go ahead. I
Yeah,
digress.
no worries. Well, since you mentioned Center for Creative Leadership, I have to give a shout out to both the Center for Creative Leadership. Had the pleasure of working with so many leaders through them for the last 26 years. And my ability to continue that connection is also related to my working with the Neighborhood House Association, where we have Innovisions. And so the work that I um, started with the neighborhood house in 2008. Gosh, it's been about 17 years now I've been with them. But we were able to maintain the relationship with the Center for Creative Leadership as we do our social enterprise. And so the Center for Creative Leadership work, the coaching that I'm able to do through them, we do as a social enterprise with Innovisions. And so, anyway, all that to say, uh, wide variety from different sectors, Dr. Loretta, with
Mhm.
regards to where leaders may be needing to think about succession planning. I do find that it varies based on the sector.
Mm,
I,
Okay.
yeah, I do think that corporate leaders probably think more about succession planning. It's kind of built maybe more into their leadership development programs. And I see in public and nonprofit organizations that there's bench strength development,
mm,
but maybe not as much targeted succession planning. And so, what triggers it? Maybe I would say in more of the nonprofit sector, we might see it's closer to a crisis. Um, and in the for-profit sector, it's more of a general maybe sector enlightenment that we've got to have that. Can't lose that knowledge. Can't lose that which
Right.
is going to lead to keeping the
mm,
engine running. And so um, that would probably be, and then mature organizations. I absolutely loved when Eric, I'm gonna mess up his last name, Dargan from
mm,
Houston, Texas, who used to be a
yes,
city
yes,
central city
yes,
manager. I just the light bulb went on even in
yes.
me when
Oh,
he
yeah.
talked about there being a succession plan for every position. I
Yes.
thought,
Yes.
wow,
Yeah, that was
that
powerful.
is so it is so powerful, like you said, Dr. Dre,
Yeah,
and so necessary because, and
absolutely.
as he spoke, even the janitor,
Yeah,
we don't think
right,
about always,
right.
how important that can be with regards to making sure that we're thinking about, um, are we positioned
Mm,
to carry out the mission and that portion of the mission? Just thinking of something as simple as if you don't have a backup, even janitorial services,
right,
and then you have
Mhm.
if it's a classroom with teachers or
right.
a any other role, and you say to
Mm,
them, well, the janitor's not here, we're going to need you to do that job, they're going to be like, hello,
right.
you're going to be preparing for my succession next. You better get a
Right.
temporary service in here or
Right.
something.
Right. Right.
But
Right. Right.
every position is impacted, when we
Absolutely.
don't actually have a plan as to what do we do for a temporary field backup? What do
Right.
we do for a permanent backup? Do we have a list? I think one of the things in public sector that was real common back in the day, gosh, that was like back in the 90s. I don't even know what it happens now, but it was, you had a list of people who had applied for a job. They were on a list,
Hmm.
and you didn't know if they were still available, but we knew you had a list of people that were potentially interested in doing that work.
Right, right.
And so your hiring manager at least had a go-to spot. And
Right.
when there wasn't anybody on the list, they could say, could you please open up this particular position? Because if we need to hire in the next, 6 months to year, we want to have a list available.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
thinking ahead
Yeah, definitely.
is something real important. And so I'd say sometimes crisis, sometimes enlightenment
Yeah, yeah,
is what we've seen
yeah,
with regards to putting succession planning
yeah.
where it might need to be on that radar screen.
And being a former CEO of a small nonprofit, guess what? We did do the toilets and empty the trash. So thank you very much. It kept me very humble, by the way. So
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
yeah,
Without a doubt.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's interesting about the different sectors. And while nonprofit is a world that I'm in like recently, but with the corporate, you're right. They think about that regularly as enlightenment. Don't lose the knowledge. They don't want that knowledge walking out the
And don't
door.
stop the engine.
right.
Right,
Mhm,
absolutely.
mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know, the succession plan, Dr. Cheryl, I know you
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
hinging on that.
Yeah. I'm going to throw one back to you,
Sure.
Dr. Dre. Um, I know that kind of through all of those discussions, we learned that about 75% of
Hmm.
the nonprofits actually, as Dr. Loretta said, really did not engage in succession planning to the
Right.
extent that would be optimal.
Yeah.
Um, I think someone that has your deep knowledge in the nonprofit sector, what do you think is the fear behind the avoidance of succession planning? Is it in some instances ego? Is it denial? Is it something deeper? Is it that whole syndrome of people, not wanting to pass the baton and that denial being that that's part of my identity. I don't know if I want to give it to you.
Right.
Oh.
Yes, all of that, and plus more. I mean, I think a couple of things we can think about. I think the mortality mirror, right? You talk about these succession planning forces leaders to confront their own professional mortality to some degree. You've
Mhm.
poured your life, you poured your every being into building something that's special and powerful for the community. And planning for your absence kind of feels like planning for your own funeral. And
Mhm.
so the
Mhm.
denial isn't just about leaving, it's about accepting that the organization must exist and live on without you. And,
Mhm.
and that has profound, I think, psychological barriers that sometimes we don't talk to each other about and don't want to address as part of that process. I think what's really at stake, though, Dr. Cheryl, is this deeper fear about legacy.
Mhm.
Leaders worry that their life's work will be dismantled. New leadership will come in with new ideas, a different set of core values. Everything they have built will crumble and disappear.
Mhm.
But here's the paradox. Here's the piece that we need to think about. By avoiding succession planning, as our many guests had shared with us around succession planning, they're almost guaranteeing organizational trauma when transition inevitably happens. They're not setting up their organization for long-term success when
Mhm.
they forego succession planning. So that statistic, that 70-75% statistic, isn't just about poor planning. It's about an entire sector that hasn't really reckoned with the differences between individual achievement and institutional sustainability. And
Mhm.
organizations that do well have leaders who have redefined success, who have understood, I've brought it to this place, now it's time to pass the torch on,
Mhm.
and certainly supports that shift and that transition as part of that process. So leadership legacy certainly does live on. And so I think we need to come to that fact and understand that truth as well. So,
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think our listeners, I know we're coming up to another break, but one thing I want to put out there quickly, our listeners, they kept on requesting succession planning encore and additional questions that they posed to us. Can I ask this question quickly to both you, Dr. Loretta and Dr. Cheryl? What conversation did we not have
Mhm.
in November when we were talking about succession planning and passing the torch and longevity that we should have had? Is there anything that we missed
Mhm.
in that discussion?
Well, Dr. Loretta, you want to go first?
Well, we talked about so much in that month, but I think one of the things that we could have focused on even more. So many, and it might be smaller nonprofits or whatever, think that it's such a negative thing. And you just touched on a lot of the emotional, the psychological. It's almost, yeah, like you said, they think they're playing for a funeral. No, you're not. It's really a celebration of all that you've done, but there might be someone who can take it to another level and make it even greater, so you're not really losing. It is that legacy building, and many
Yeah.
of them think that it's negative when it really is not. So,
Yeah. And as Dr. Dre was speaking and as you were just speaking, it's the last word that you just spoke that comes to mind for me. And maybe it is a greater conversation, a bigger conversation on legacy.
Mm,
yeah.
Really helping people think about their own legacy. What do you want your
Mhm.
legacy to be? And how do you move your legacy? I always think of legacy, we used to do a lot more around legacy leadership.
hmm.
And
Sure did. Yeah.
living one's legacy
Right.
was really about me making a difference in this mission and purpose that I have. But legacy leadership was really about moving others to carry
Mm,
that forward. So, how do I ensure this North Star does not fade and dim when I'm gone?
right. Right.
I think like, what would I want my legacy to be? And
Mm,
I think for myself, when I think about legacy and the work that I do and I've done, I think my work around compassionate leadership. I
mm,
want every leader at Neighborhood House Association and other leaders that I've touched to really think about, what are they doing actively to
mm.
reduce suffering and increase joy for those they're serving and those that they're serving with.
Yeah.
Like,
Powerful.
are we helping people think about um, reducing suffering and increasing joy? Are we helping them even think about something as basic yet powerful as ethics,
Mm,
doing no harm, valuing life,
yeah.
living one's truth?
Right.
uh, all those basic things that hopefully make a difference. At Neighborhood House, we wrap a lot of that up in our values. We call it I care,
Yeah.
integrity, courtesy, attentiveness, responsiveness, and excellence. And we say
Wow.
excellence requires compassion.
Yeah.
If you get the
Absolutely.
job done and you've done a great job, but along the way you did not do it with compassion, we've still missed that mark of excellence. So
Wow.
that's something I would want embedded and not just, I don't want to live it, but I want
Mm,
to make sure others are living it. And I think when we say, how do I then make sure others are living it so that when this North Star, when I'm no longer here talking about this North Star, will others be talking about this North Star?
yeah.
So I think, how do
Good.
we help leaders think about what is the legacy that you want to have for yourself?
Mm,
And how do you then keep that legacy alive through others?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
maybe another conversation.
No, definitely. I love it. I love it. And you brought that word up, joy. And in full transparency, I saw joy. That's that fluffy stuff. We don't need joy. Just do the work, get the job done. But
Mhm,
joy is powerful, right? Especially for
mhm,
leaders to understand and to engage and to live it. And so I
mhm,
have come to realize that joy is
mhm.
a powerful factor in being a successful leader.
It is indeed. It's about morale,
Yeah,
right? I
absolutely.
mean, and
Absolutely.
morale is about energy, and energy is about life. And the
Absolutely.
life of the organization comes from the joy of the people,
Yeah.
the joy of those who are being served and those who are doing the serving. So we want to
Yeah.
keep it alive.
Absolutely. 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 Great. Great.
Mhm.
Hey,
Yeah.
look, we're going to take another break. I mean, we've got so much more to cover about the 2025 year we've had with just, again, so many wonderful topics. When we come back after the break, we're going to talk a little bit about another deep dive topic that we explored this year, which was around the financial piece of it. And then we're going to do some hot topic questions for each of us as we delve more into the review of 2025. So stay tuned. We'll be back after a short break with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. And we're back with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. For those who are just joining us, we're just taking a review of 2025. It's just been impactful. Lots of great topics, lots of great leaders who have joined us for our podcast show. And it's just been exciting what we've covered so far. We've got so much more to cover. We want to delve a little bit into the financial piece. So I'll turn this over to Dr. Cheryl.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dre. Dr. Loretta, we talked a little bit about Wendy McKinney earlier today. I know Wendy is a certified financial advisor. She does a lot of different stuff in that arena. One of the things she said is making a way out of no way. That was a important topic that she put up there with regards to just talking about how do we go about and the necessity of making a way out of no way. I know, Dr. Loretta, your work with World of Hope Ministries, your experience
Wonderful.
there.
Mhm.
Just wondering if there's what you might think of as your most creative funding solution that you've seen maybe actually work as you guys made
Okay.
your way out of no way.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Word of Hope Ministries. Now, that's a topic I could talk up the whole show. I'm a volunteer at Word of Hope Ministries. When I retired, I always wanted to volunteer there, so I've had that opportunity to do it. It was established 29 years ago by Bishop Charles McClellan, who used to work in social services for the government. So that was his background. One
Okay.
of the things is he saw that there was a need that was not being addressed by a lot of government entities for people in the community where his church was and where he served. So some of in the 29 years that they have been established, they do some creative things for fundraising because you can't count on grants. We know that things change with grants. But every year they have community events, and two I'll talk about. One of them is called our Walk of Hope,
Mm.
and it involves the community, and we get sponsors to for how many miles you might walk. But during that time we have philanthropists, people who give donations and things, but we also help the community as well. We give out book bags and school supplies during that time for students. We work with the medical college, and we have they get free medical testing, mammograms, things like that. So even though we are fundraising, we're still giving something back to the community. And we have like a big barbecue. There's this guy who has this huge barrel thing, and they're barbecuing, and there's food, fun, horses, all kinds of things on the land. So, and that brings in a great deal of money for us as well. And then May, because Word of Hope was established in May 1996, is our Word of Hope month. And we usually have things centered around, we'll have people come back who have benefited from Word of Hope, and they'll come and share their stories about how they've actually benefited. And we have philanthropists, there are a few of them who are friends of our bishop, and they always come through and donate because they really believe in the mission that we have, and it's always to serve the community, give back to them. So those are two of the things when
Yeah.
we just had a strategic planning meeting. We're starting our strategic planning for next year, and we have some other ideas that I'm really excited about that we'll be doing. But those two are very beneficial for us.
Yeah. Yes, wonderful. I'll share with Neighborhood House one of the innovative fundraisers that we've done for years and probably makes even more sense now in the post-COVID years, but we did it way before then. When I first joined, they were doing it, and it's a virtual gala. I'd never seen or heard
Mhm.
of a virtual gala,
Wow.
and that is a really powerful and unique um, fundraiser where you do all the things one would anticipate one would have for a gala, but
Mm.
there's no actual gala. But people can purchase a table, purchase a seat. It's on the website. You can see it. We used to have like a reception for the main donors
Mhm.
that would happen, but when COVID came, they started even moving that component virtually. But it's just a wonderful way of certainly raising funds for the mission and engaging those who believe in our mission, but not necessarily having to ask people to get all dolled up and spend time eating a chicken dinner or whatever. But but they can do give their donation, know that it's going to a good cause. To your point, Dr. Loretta, here's some mission moments from those who've been impacted by the work. But it's like the gala without the physical setting.
Mm.
That is really cool. I'll
Yes.
probably want to learn a little bit more about that. Always looking
Yeah,
for ideas. It's like,
yeah.
and we are in a virtual world.
Right, right. So, mhm.
All right. Well, Andre, let me ask you a question, Dr. Dre. Mary Mellett, I hope I didn't mess her name up too
Mhm.
much. Okay. She discussed mergers without losing organizational soul. So you have had some experience with organizations that have emerged from a merger. What's the one thing leaders get wrong about cultural integration?
Yeah, Mary really talked about the whole culture integration, how difficult that is as part of the process. Recalling her discussion and just thinking about other organizations, I think that the one thing, there's a couple, certainly too much focus on systems, which is important, instead of telling the stories, the narratives, putting a story to the faces, to the communities that you're co-creating with, and really making sure you stick to why we do what we do. I think that's a big misstep that we often will do. I think sometimes we try to hurry up, and so we have this speed over meaning because we're pressured to show quick wins, unified branding, consolidated operations, cost savings, and so we rush, 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 and it becomes a disaster as part of that process. I think also understanding this thing called tribal knowledge, right? That you think about the knowledge that people have in the organizations, and sometimes we just gloss over that, and really don't get a chance to ask those who've been doing this work for a while in the organizations what's worked, what hasn't worked, because we as leaders sometimes think we have all the answers, and so certainly trying to figure out what has been working for that organization. And I think, what really works is, again, to first really name the losses explicitly, right? We're losing that small family feel for that organization that's being acquired or merged into. And, we create new shared experiences. I believe it's important to call those kinds of things out. And I think that all plays a part in that process. So, but yeah, Mary, that was a great episode. I hope folks go back and, again, another wonderful gift to give one of those podcasts. Very powerful, very powerful. So, Dr. Sheryl, you're laughing at me, but John Lydon brought up some of these red flags in partnerships, right? And my quick answer, if you can give it to me, when should a struggling nonprofit say no to a
Mhm.
merger, even if it means closing their doors?
Guess my quick response to that Christmas gift would be no. I would say when the North Stars aren't aligning. So when the mission and
Mm,
the values are not um, congruent,
mm,
they don't align, then it's a no.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's simple to the point. I love it. I love
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Real simple. Excellent. What about this? Okay, so here I'm digressing just a bit, but I love these other questions that came up throughout themes this year we had in terms of our guests. But let's take off the hat here and really think about this. What leadership advice, this is for you, Dr. Loretta, and for you too, Dr. Cheryl, what leadership advice did you give this year? Did you give this year that you're now second guessing and saying, let me rethink that. What leadership advice did you give this year? And now you're second guessing that advice. Anything comes to mind, Dr. Loretta?
Unfortunately, yes, something does come to
Okay.
mind.
Okay.
It has to do with getting reports into some of the funders that we have through the city and the state. They have different reporting processes, and sometimes they'll ask for things that wasn't originally a part of what we thought our reporting process was. So for me, it's like, okay, we'll stay as late as we have to. We're gonna get this done. We got to get it over to them. Not thinking about the fact that people have a life outside of there.
Hmm.
and and I should be more in tune to that. So
Mm,
that's why that wellness part, talking about that, that really did resonate with me a lot because not only did I not think of it for myself, but sometimes for other people as well.
mm,
And people, our office is open 9 to 4. People would stay sometimes till 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, getting reports done. And and for me, it was like, okay, good. Did you get it done? Where was my empathy? Where was my? It's like, okay, because we got to have it in to blah
right.
blah blah by such and such a day. So now I'm thinking, it's like, okay, today a situation happened, and I was like, they want this new report when, contact them and say, hey, it's the holiday season. We're very short staffed. Can we get an extension for that? So to really think more, that it's not just my own health, but other people's health,
Right.
and not try to push so hard, I guess,
Definitely.
because
Right.
I was willing to, but to have other people, it's like, yeah, that's not right. So I'm taking that
Sure.
back.
Sure. Absolutely. Dr. Sher, what was your advice that you're second guessing now?
Well, I think because of the field through which I've emerged, as a cultural psychologist,
Mm,
as a coach, it's led me to a space where I'm probably more of a process consultant
mm,
and thought partner. So I'm sure I've given advice along the way. I don't, and that would probably be my son when I pick them up, and I'm talking to I'm talking to my son and his Marine brothers. But in the world of work, I find myself asking more questions,
mm,
helping others find the answers within themselves, and helping them choose their way to
mm,
where I can't pinpoint what I might say advice that I've given. Um, uh, because I think I lead through Andre. I know you and I used to say this a lot when we did trainings. People learn and grow from interaction with each other.
mhm, mhm.
And I think people learn and grow from reflection and
Yeah.
be it group and individual. So I think I like the let the answers come up and I
Yeah.
don't put myself in the advice giving seat too
Right.
often
Right.
as much as in the processing, like, what are the questions that need to be asked to be a good
Hmm.
thought partner and help a person hear themselves and find their own advice. So then when it works, great for them. And when it doesn't work, it's on them. Not on me. No, I'm kidding. It's not so much about it works or doesn't work as much as I think I find myself working across so many, just like the sector, so many different
Yeah.
industries where
Yeah.
I don't really feel like I have answers
Right.
as much as questions that hopefully help others come up with their own advice or their
Right.
own answers.
No, that's great. Yeah. Dr.
Mhm.
Loretta, Dr. Cheryl, that's great. I think my advice, I think I gave out earlier, is someone was trying to find their authenticity. And my advice was them is you do you. Wow, what a powerful statement. You do you, but I had to take that back
Mhm.
because I had to think about that.
Mhm.
I needed to add something to that. You do
Oh.
you, but don't forget about me.
Mm.
And
Oh,
again, that really came to the top as we talked to our guest about making sure to some degree, make sure we're not
Mhm.
only thinking about self, but others as well in that organization. So you do you, but don't forget about me. That's how I would kind of phrase that if I had to go back and give that advice again. So yeah.
Right. Well, I'm gonna tell you what's interesting about that. If my husband's listening to this, I
Uh-huh.
tell him all the time. He'll say, "Ask me about this, ask me about that." I say, "Honey, just do you, as long as you don't disrespect me in our
I
vows."
love it.
That's good too. I like that
That is
too.
one of my
No
I
my
like
problem.
that too.
often responses to him when he's
Right.
asking for my opinion on something. Like,
That's
baby,
good.
just do you,
Just as you,
with the
right.
caveat,
Absolutely.
with the caveat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we are up against another short break we've got to take. But when we return, I am going to ask Dr. Cheryl and Dr. Loretta, which guest this year made you the most uncomfortable and
Mm.
why? So we'll pick
Okay.
that question up after this break. I ask folks to please stay tuned. We'll be right back with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. We're back with more on Leadership Matters with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. And for those who are just joining us, Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Loretta, and I, we're having some fun with 2025 in review. Wow, what a year. How many topics did we cover? How many wonderful guests did we have? We had a lot. I wish this could be a 3 hour show because there's so much to cover. But I wanted to address the question that we were going to ask prior to the break. Which guest made you the most uncomfortable and why? Dr. Loretta, you want to take a swing at that first, and then you, Dr. Cheryl?
Yes, I will. I really have thought about this when you said that before the break. And the person that came to mind was Matt Obert from Chatham
Mm,
when he talked about the governance and the board of directors and how you really need to build those relationships and you don't just meet with them, quarterly or however you meet with them. You should and be engaged and be having conversations with them other than just at the board meeting. And he talked about building bridges too, and even inviting employees sometimes to the board meeting, which
mm,
I hadn't thought about. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a really good idea. It was just one of those, like, it's not so much that it was uncomfortable other than the fact that I didn't do it. But
mm,
I did think, it would be nice to have employees sometimes come and sit in the meeting so they can get an understanding of what goes on as well. And then seeing the board members more than just at that quarterly meeting because I was very guilty of that. I wasn't trying to connect
mm.
in between, but he talked about the necessary that necessary rub that we have to do. So building those bridges,
Okay.
that kind of put me in that mind frame.
Yeah, great. Dr.
Gosh, I wish Dr. Loretta was speaking longer because I can't think of one.
Cheryl?
I am trying to have one come to mind. I think
Mm,
I enjoy all of our guest, and I don't think I can't become uncomfortable what it
mm,
is they're saying
yeah.
because I'm an old school person and either I chew it or I don't. So you're just like like okay. And so I've enjoyed them all so, and I think
Mm,
so many have brought uh, different perspectives and
yeah.
ways of
Mhm.
seeing and thinking, and I just always learn so much
Mm,
from the fresh perspectives
yeah.
that they bring, even if their perspectives are, and I should say, even more so when their perspectives are different from mine. Because, like
Absolutely.
you, Dr.
Mhm.
Lerner, I think, oh, that's real interesting. Although I don't feel guilty about not doing it, so maybe that's why. I was
Right,
like,
right.
okay, that's interesting. That's something to consider.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
so, how about
Yeah.
yourself, Dr.
I
Dre?
think
Yes.
there's a couple, there's many that come to mind, but I think, again, not so much uncomfortable, but really challenged me, right? I think Darrell
Mhm.
Hutchins talking about accountability and that whole
Oh,
bench
yeah.
strength discussion we had, just being meticulous and really detailed about building the bench strength within in the organization, and sometimes how you have to kind of take off the mask and really get real and authentic with folks and your others in the organization to become real in building that bench strength. So I thought that was a powerful one. And then Lisa Brown Alexander, who kind of talked about this quiet power, because
Mm.
I'm a quiet person. I thought she was picking on me at first. But being quiet, there's power in being quiet and just listening and just reflecting and really discovering, what others are trying to say. And it's in those moments that, pausing or being quiet wasn't a weakness. It was being the powerful leader. The
Mm.
stillness really allowed me to kind of see the bigger picture and name what mattered the most. And that was really powerful. That kind of challenged me as part of that process. So that's who I would kind of bring up, of course, with others, but those two certainly come to mind as well. So. Dr.
Absolutely.
Sheryl, what about these personal leadership moments? What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
I mean, I would ask the both of you that to think about. We talked about wellness, as Dr. Loretta has mentioned earlier, but we also talked about what you mentioned, um, Dr. Dre, with regards to finding
Yeah,
joy
yeah,
in leadership.
yeah,
Was there a moment when either of you lost your joy this year? And if so, how did you get it back?
yeah. I'll jump in. I don't know if I lost my joy. I certainly, I always thought about joy as something that's so esoteric and fluffy and like, ugh, there's no such thing as joy in the work that we do in the nonprofit sector. But I had to re-examine that and ask myself some difficult questions. So I think, for me, a couple things that had come to mind was, this continuous thinking about what's right, what's wrong, what can I do that's best for the communities that we co-create with as part of that process, and what happens when we don't get the results that we're looking for. We keep thinking about this collective.
Hmm.
This is my big bandwagon is because we all keep our secret sauces. Organizations don't share as broadly as they should. I've got my secret sauce, you can't have it. And I'm thinking to myself, that kind of distills my spirit a little bit more because I love to see more collaboration taking place. I love to see us working at a collective where we are truly making change in communities, where people truly are prospering in so many different ways. And don't get me wrong, lots of success stories here and there. We all have lots of success stories, boy. But what about the collective? What about our nation as a whole in terms of everyone experiencing some of that prosperity? So I think that was powerful. And again, Dr. Mullen, we brought him up before, but again, being connected to something that's larger than me, that
Yeah.
spiritual aspect, I think that really reinforced and reminded me why I do this because it's more than just about me. It's something bigger than myself, and I think that was powerful for me as well. So.
As I was listening to you, Dr. Dre talk, I had to think, really reflecting on the this past year. I don't think I've ever lost my joy, because joy is different things to different people. But for me, and it's something that you both kind of touched on yesterday, I have to think it's an acronym. Every time I hear joy, I think of an acronym: Jesus, others, then yourself. And I try to live my life to those are the important things. It's not about me or my thoughts or whatever. Even when I get caught up in myself, it's about someone greater than me and helping other people. So I never lost it. Was I disappointed that some things might not have worked out the way that I had hoped to, especially when it comes to the community that we serve? Yeah, there were some things that, and they were absolutely out of our control. But what I did find is that we came up with other ways,
Mm,
creative ways to help people, especially when there was people were no longer able to get their food stamps.
mm,
And we have a population that would come, they needed food. They needed um, maybe baby formula. So we had a drive, we got that information, we had people donate stuff. So when folks came to us, we were able to help them or give them food cards even to help them just to get through. So, and it made us realize, that that need was there, but I never lost my joy. Was I disappointed that some things happened? Absolutely. But I never lost my joy because I never forgot my purpose and something Dr. Shirley said earlier, the mission.
Hmm.
Because my mission has to align with my values.
mhm,
And as long as that's still going on, I'm good. But if that should ever change, that would probably make me lose my joy.
mm. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Dr. Shah, that was such a powerful question. We got to ask you that. What about you?
Yeah.
I would agree that I never lost my joy this year. I think I find joy in gratitude
Mm,
and so grateful even through the challenging moments. I found myself like literally being grateful and thankful
mm,
for so much in my personal
Mhm.
and professional life. Um, and I do think that disappointment comes from expectations not being met.
mm,
And so there are sometimes moments of disappointment when expectations are met. Yet there's still so much joy because there's so much to be thankful and I think grateful for.
hmm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I know our show is coming to an end. I mean, the time went so fast.
Yeah,
But
it
I'd
did.
love to hear from each of you. What's the big expectation for 2026? We've got some wonderful things planned for 2026. We're going to ask folks to stay tuned for next year. We've got a wonderful way to engage you. February, March, we're going to be rolling that out, so you'll hear more about that prior to that. But love to have you be part of that. But what's the expectation for 2026? I can't believe it's a few days away from here. I can't believe it. But what's the piece of advice? What's the expectation? What would you leave our listeners with as we exit 2025
Mm,
and hopefully enter into 2026. What would that be? Dr. Cheryl, Dr. Loretta, either one of you can go first, or
mm,
I can jump in there. Again, I continue to think about let's continue to be the best leaders I mean, that's the power of this show, right? I mean, continue to think about the people's doctors, right? The
mm,
power of this show lies in the fact that leaders are important, and leaders, we continue to transform, we continue to go above and beyond, think outside the box, become creative, innovative, and we all are different. We all are uniquely different, and that's the power of this show. And I think that's what our show has brought out to us this year. And I would encourage everyone who listens, go tag a friend, other leaders in the various sectors to come and listen to our podcast, take a look at our previously recorded podcast, and learn more, because this show really is about building the vitamins and the integrity and the muscle of great leaders. But that's the advice I would give to
mhm.
others.
Yeah. Mm,
Um, I think for me, and one of the things I found with a lot of the guests that we have, that was the transparency. So I still think that that's very important. I know you can't tell people every little thing. Sometimes you can tell them too much, it will be overwhelming. But as much as possible, remaining transparent to let people know what's going on. Because when they don't realize what's going on, that rumor mill starts all kinds of things. So as much as possible, to always be transparent, have a leader of integrity. Your people can trust you, because sometimes that if they feel that you're not sharing things with them, then they lose trust in you, those
mhm,
kinds of things.
Yeah,
So just making sure that you do it. And again, I got to go back to what Dr. Cheryl said, because that was really very profound. It's like that mission has to align with the
yeah,
values. And if
absolutely.
you say you have these values that, oh, we have integrity, and you're not demonstrating certain things, people are going to be watching you. So be
Absolutely.
transparent, have that integrity, do what you say. And when you can't, maybe that's when it's time to walk away.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I would add to that. I think we've lived in 2025 through a lot of uncertainty. And I
Mm,
think we still have a lot of uncertainty that we'll be facing in 2026. I think as leaders, we have to be, I think maybe getting clear on what is your own personal North Star
mm,
and anchoring in your North Star. And when I say North Star, your principles, your what's most important to you, what do you see as your own mission in life? What are your core values? And then I challenge everyone because it's just part of, I feel my mission in life is to inspire compassion. So I challenge everyone to think about what can I do? What can I do to decrease suffering and increase joy?
yeah.
Just really being intentional about that as we move into 2026.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
thank you both for that. It's been a great joy this year to co-host with both of you as well. And so I want to thank you for being our special guest
Thank
for this
you.
year review.
Thank you.
And I want to thank our audience for listening in and tuning in. Go back and download those podcasts. We've got much more planned for you for 2026. Again, we invite you to send topics. Drop us a line. How are we doing? What else would you like to hear? What guests should we include on our podcast? And that's at Leadership Matters Questions at innovisions.org. Leadership Matters Questions at innovisions.org. So please join us every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific. Download our podcast at your convenience on demand. But until next time, have a great rest of a prosperous year. We'll see you in the new year. And it's been great with the People's Doctors, informing leaders, inspiring solutions. Until our paths cross again, my friends, keep making your leadership matters with the People's Doctors.